Hello there, welcome along to the Sweet Spot. It's a US Masters special. Bruce Millington and Steve Palmer, very excited. I think this is the best sporting week of the year. We've got some fantastic European and domestic football. Obviously, it's Grand National Week, 3 sensational days up at Aintree. And we've got the Masters back in its usual April slot with azaleas, with crowds, not quite full, but there will be some atmosphere. And it's going to be fantastic. All the best golfers in the world converging on Augusta for 4 sensational days. Really looking forward to it. Steve, before we look ahead to who is going to win it, a quick nod to a very good tip in Charley Hoffman last week, and he almost got it done. And it was very un-Charley Hoffman-like, wasn't it? Because we always say on here, don't we, he's worth backing for the first-round leader. He's almost first-round wooden spoonist, and he ground his way back up. But he couldn't get in front of a golfer who we will no doubt be talking about a lot more when we preview the Masters.
Absolutely, yeah. It was such a disappointing start. 5 over par through 15 holes, Charley Hoffman, and then he ended up 16 under par. So an incredible fight back, but not enough to defeat Jordan Spieth. Wish he'd taken driver off the 17th tee, Hoffman. He took the 3-wood off the 17th. Very poor decision. Found the sand right, and that was that.
Okay, enough looking back. Let's look forward. Really exciting stuff, Steve. I've mentioned the fact that obviously the course is in full colourful bloom and there's going to be spectators, although not a full house. But in terms of the golf, what is going to be different now that the Masters is back in April to the one that we saw in November, where obviously DJ slayed the field so clinically?
Absolutely. I mean, we must refer to them as patrons. You started off referring to them as crowds and then spectators. I do not want to upset the Augusta officials.
No, we don't need to. It's only Sky that do that, because they're simpering saps who obviously have to in their, well, not simpering, but I mean, it's obviously part of their remit when they get the rights that they've got to call them patrons. We don't need to call them patrons. In actual fact, we're not going to call them patrons because it's an awful term, all right? So let's get that straight.
That's straightened out. Augusta National, 7,475 yards, par 72. Home of the Masters since 1934. And last time was the first time we've ever had a November Masters, as you say. And we must stress this because it was astonishing conditions. I mean, the rain in the build-up made it even worse. A lot of Masters connoisseurs last year were being physically sick during the first few rounds when balls were stopping on the green. Some of them even got some spin on the green. So yeah, the greens were like sponges last year. It was a very unusual Masters. So we're back to April, firmer, faster, very dry weather in the build-up. So we're going to get a traditional Masters this year. The big question for everybody is it going to stay firm and fast? Because there's a 50% chance of a thunderstorm on Friday, a 50% chance of a 4-hour thunderstorm. So that would change the course conditions. So we'll keep an eye on the weather forecasts. But yeah, we should get a traditional firm and fast Masters this year.
And does that potentially suggest there'll be a draw bias as well, Steve? Would you want to be morning Thursday and then potentially get the benefits of softer conditions and maybe even coming out and finish and playing a lot of your second round on Saturday morning in that case?
True. Yeah. I mean, we've got to pray that this doesn't happen. I hate it when there's the weather becomes a big issue on a big tournament like this. But yeah, 50% chance as well. I mean, yeah, the weathermen aren't exactly helping us out there, are they?
No, I mean, to be fair, so if you start trying to get too hung up on the intricacies of a weather forecast, then you can tie yourself in knots, can't you? Because they're quite often wrong, aren't they? Yeah.
Back a player who can handle anything that comes his way. Okay.
Are you excited?
I am very much so. Yeah. This is my favourite tournament of the year. I was really hoping to go into it with a lot of ammunition. If Charley Hoffman could have got the job done last week, going into the Masters with heavy ammunition is the dream scenario. But yeah, this is the tournament that excites me above all others as a punter, because the place terms are amazing. It's a very, very small field. It's dare I say it, it's much easier than normal to get the winner of this tournament than regulation weeks.
Okay, let's have a look at the betting. This is a rough guide. I think we've got Dustin Johnson around about 9-1, Bryson DeChambeau 11, Jordan Spieth 11. Who would have thought that a few months ago? John Rahm at 12s, Justin Thomas at 12s, Rory McIlroy 18, and it's 20-1 bar. All the big names are in there. It is well worth stressing that not only should you shop around for the best win odds, but each way terms are really, really important this week. Some firms are offering only 6 places, others going right up to 11. Now, again, though, if you look at a golf and think, oh, I've got to take that 11 places, quite often the firm doing that will be shorter in the win odds about a lot of those. So it's worth just having a good old look and weighing up the difference between the place terms and the win price. But anyway, the key for this broadcast is for Steve to festoon you with the best possible betting advice in terms of who might win. So without further ado, how many tips?
4.
Okay. And the headline selection, Steve, take it away.
The headline, I'm going to festoon you with Justin Thomas, who has just won the Players' Championship at Sawgrass, which is a massive tournament in its own right. You know, one of the best fields that you get all year is at Sawgrass. It's a huge confidence booster to win that tournament. He's already a major champion. He won the 2017 USPGA Championship. He's won 2 World Golf Championships. So I don't think there's any doubt that Justin Thomas is mentally ready to claim a green jacket. A big mental test to become Masters champion. Justin Thomas, at 27 years of age, is ready for it. And technically, Augusta is a perfect fit for him. Thomas is one of the best iron players in the history of the game. You know, so consistent with his irons. His PGA Tour strokes gained on approach ranking for the last 5 seasons is 20th, 6th, 4th, 2nd, and 1st. And this season he's in 3rd place. Colin Morikawa is the only player in this field that's hitting more better approaches than Thomas this year. And that iron play has allowed Thomas to rip Augusta to shreds in previous visits. From tee to green, pretty much every time he's played it, his greens and regulation numbers are fantastic. He's just not hold his fair share on the greens. So that's why he's not made a serious bid for the green jacket. His Masters form figures are 39, 22, 17, 12, 4. And you notice the pattern here. I mean, it's progressive Masters form figures. We discussed this over Christmas, I believe, when we were working out our anti-post major bets. Justin Thomas has been on my mind for this for a long, long time. So he's getting better every time he plays. He's getting better results.
Okay, so Steve, sorry, I just want to jump in there. So you're talking about progressive form figures and that 4th place, but that was in November when the greens were soft. Now, if there is a doubt about Thomas, it's that he just can't putt on these super slick dance floors. Now, that was obviously negated by what happened then, but we're back to fast greens again. So is that a concern that he's just going to keep pinging fantastic irons into the greens and then just not be able to get a warm putter?
Well, his putting has improved this year, as I say. I mean, he's halved his putting ranking. He changed his putting coach. I see putting improvement from Justin Thomas this year. I love, you know, he finds Augusta an absolute doddle from tee to green. So, you know, you're getting 12 to 1 on him warming the putter. You know, and with the each way terms, it's almost. I don't want to get too cocky and too confident, but it's almost inconceivable to see him outside the top.
No, it's not. Of course, it's not. That's ridiculous. Don't talk like that. How can it be inconceivable when he's done it 4 times out of 5?
Yeah, I know, but he's served his apprenticeship now, hasn't he? He must tee up with enormous confidence. I mean, he's even got that right to left shot going now as well. At Sawgrass, he was hitting those lovely, almost deliberately hooked drives where he turns over. I mean, you know, that shot's going to work so well for him this week. All right, no, I'll try and retain a little bit of calmness and composure, but I just think with the each way terms on offer, it's difficult to see Justin Thomas outside the top 11. So.
Okay, fair enough. Okay, so Justin Thomas is the chief selection, and who are the other 3?
The next best is Cameron Smith, and we've talked about whether the course conditions are going to change on Friday or not. For Cameron Smith, it won't matter. He's proved himself a really versatile Augusta performer already. He was 5th in the 2018 edition in traditional April conditions, and he finished tied 2nd last year when it softened up. First player in Masters history to card 4 rounds in the 60s. So Smith will be unfazed whatever happens. He says he loves Augusta. He says he feels really comfortable there. He can see other players get really edgy and find it really difficult to settle at Augusta. He's the complete opposite. And in major competition generally, Cameron Smith has proved himself almost immune to pressure. His major debut was in the 2015 US Open, and he finished 4th there. So I love the attitude of Cameron Smith. He's an unusual golfer, so laid back, so relaxed, doesn't really care about his appearance. He lets his mullet grow, and he's a very gritty customer with a magnificent short game. And the short game is obviously a massive asset at Augusta. He's been in rock solid form in the build-up. He was 4th in the Genesis Invitational. He was 11th in the WGC Workday and 17th at Sawgrass. So yeah, Cameron Smith at 40 to 1. You talked about the each way terms at the start of the show. There's quarter the six. You've got to remember what they're slicing up as well. Yeah, quarter the six is available at 40 to 1 for Cameron Smith, and I think that's fair enough. Is quarter the six better than 58?
Well, 50-11 is obviously better, isn't it?
Yeah, but
50-11 is better. What can we get if we're going after 10 and 11 places? Kind of 33s.
33, 35 sort of touch, yeah. But bad, I think Smith's going to hang around on the leaderboard all week. So he's my next best to Justin Thomas. And then my final two are at much, much bigger prices. And the third selection is Phil Mickelson, which I've been looking forward to discussing this with you. Phil Mickelson.
Way.
Yeah,
I've got a TARDIS and gone back to 1997 or something. What's going on?
Well, 2 years ago, obviously, Tiger Woods had one last hurrah in the Masters. I think it's entirely feasible that Mickelson conjures something similar. Was certainly worth it at the odds, 125 to 1, and I mean, much bigger on the exchanges. Experience counts for so much at this venue, particularly when it's playing like it is at the moment, really firm and fast. You some of the lines on the greens you have to see, have to see him to believe them. And Mickelson's got the T-shirt. His first appearance was in 1991. So 30 years ago was his first visit. He got 28 appearances under his belt, but it was only 6 years ago that he finished second in this tournament to Jordan Spieth. And in the last April Masters, he finished 18th. Mickelson's still a factor at Augusta, and he seems quietly confident to me. Over the course of the last month, I've been watching his interviews closely. There's a sneaky little bit of confidence coming into lefty. His game's coming together. He played solidly at Sawgrass. He finished 25th in the Honda Classic. 2 tricky courses with lots of water. And he's talked about a lack of focus in regulation events. And we saw that last week in Texas. He closed his first round in Texas last week with a 10. He was messing about on the rocks, closed with a 10. He's obviously going to get maximum concentration this week. And his game seems to be in decent order. He's finding some fairways. He's putting okay. A second round of the Texas Open last week, he carded a 69. Only 8 players in the field bettered that score. So I know it's asking a lot, 50 years of age to win the Masters. Jack Nicklaus did it at 46. But Mickelson, he's fitter than ever these days. He's fighting fit. He looks after himself really well. Still one of the longest drivers on tour. I'm looking at your smirk, just trying to find another reason to
No, you don't need to. It's fine. I love the idea of, I'm just getting a warm glow. I think I'd cry if Mickelson won the Masters. Would you?
I think I'd definitely cry given the circumstances of.
He's been one of my all-time favourite players. He's so charismatic, isn't he? And I'll never forget when he went into that private box and played a shot off. Do you remember he hit one into a hospitality box and just strolled in there and sort of said "excuse me" to everyone and just chipped onto the green? It was ridiculous.
Yeah, well,
he's such a character, isn't he?
Absolute legend of the game, and still hitting a long way. Still hits bombs, as he likes to call it. He loves hitting bombs. I mean, we're not talking about Larry Mize here. We got a player that's still got.
We could be in a minute. We've still got one selection to come. Good to think who that's going to be. Okay, so Mickelson joins Thomas and Cameron Smith, and finally.
Similar price to Mickelson, another left-hander, Brian Harman. I've got 2 left-handers in the staking plan this week. Left-handers have won 6 of the last 18 Masters. The faded left-handed drive's a great weapon on a lot of holes at Augusta. Harman is a Georgia man, born in the state we're playing in this week. Went to college there, still lives there, home state gig. And he's earned that home state gig with 2 magnificent performances in his last 2 tournaments. He was 3rd at Sawgrass, pushed all the way to the line there. Really impressive finish at Sawgrass. Remember we talked about him going for the flag at 17 while others were shying away. I was really impressed with Harman at Sawgrass. And then next time out in the WGC Dell Technologies match play, he made it to the quarterfinals. He beat Hideki Matsuyama and Bubba Watson that week. And he just tore the course apart. He made an eagle and 16 birdies in the group stages. And then in his last 16 match against Watson, he made 8 birdies in a row in the middle of the match to just stun Bubba Watson. And then even in defeat, lost to Matt Kuchar in the quarterfinals, a former champion. Harman made 6 birdies in defeat. So his A game is just as arrived. Harman is playing some of the best golf of anyone in the world at the moment. And who's to say he can't contend at the Masters? He's contended for major glory before. He led the US Open in 2017, the year Brooks Koepka won the US Open. Erin Hills. Harman led going into the final round and finished runner-up to Brooks Koepka. Erin Hills is a massively long course. A lot of people would rule out Harman saying he's not done it far enough for Augusta, but he proved at Erin Hills he can compete because his short game's so good. We've got firm firm conditions at the moment. So, yeah, I can see Harman doing a Wearsy, so to speak. Remember Mike Weir won in 2003?
Yeah.
Similar sort of player to Brian Harman, similar stature, similar styles of play. So, yeah, I think Harman could do a Wearsy.
Wow, fantastic. I want your opinion on all the leading contenders that you haven't tipped, Steve. So a nice whistle-stop sort of comment on each. We'll start with Dustin Johnson, defending champ.
Dustin Johnson, yeah, I mean, he's just gone off the boil, hasn't he? Since the final round of the Genesis Invitational onwards, yeah, there's been driving issues and there's been putting issues. He may have solved them on the practice ground. I don't know, but it's not worth the gamble that he's solved those problems, is it? You know, his course credentials are undoubted. You know, it's not just a November Masters that he destroyed. He played really well in the 4 previous April Masters. So it's just form. You know, we have no guarantee of the form, mate. I think he's too short.
You derided my confidence in Bryson DeChambeau in the November Masters correctly. Has he got any chance here?
Well, at least he's a sensible price this time. I mean, he was a short price favourite last time. Yeah, Bryson Mania was in overdrive after the US Open win.
To be honest, Steve, he wasn't that much different. It was only about, I think he was 8-9 to 1 last time, wasn't he? He's only 11s here, so there's not a lot of difference, is there?
But the difference this year is that his approach play's improved since then, and his around the greens he's improved. His chipping has improved. So I'm much more interested in him this year than I was in November. But he's never had a Masters top 20, and you know, I think he still lacks the finesse you need closer to the hole.
Okay, just Jordan Spieth obviously enters calculations now after. I mean, he's been on the comeback trail all year, hasn't he? And then he kind of crowned that last week. Can he follow up now and win his second Masters?
There's every chance in there. I prefer Spieth to Johnson and DeChambeau, but I don't prefer him to Justin Thomas or Jon Rahm. I got Spieth as the third best out of those 5. Always plays well in the Masters. 1 win, 2 seconds, 1 third. Can get away with his loose drive in there. I thought the driving would be what would cost him last week, but you know, he found a way. Yeah, the rest of his game is fantastic. And yeah, I see Spieth contending, but I prefer Thomas and Rahm.
Okay, now talking of Rahm, I mean, do you remember at the start of the year we did your your majors life change, and you came out with that 20,000 to 1 acca, and your main concern was that Rahm might have to storm off the 18th fairway on the Sunday of the US Open because his wife is due to give birth. She's already had the baby. You cocked that up, didn't you?
Well, no, we did give an update quite soon after that said the Masters was the one to worry about, and you know, Masters punters would have been fretting. And it was nice for us to reduce the shortlist by just completely ruling out Jon Rahm. But now the baby's arrived. You know, he's massively on the radar. The baby's come at the perfect time. It's actually going to become a positive now because you can see he's all full of beans. You can see he's beaming from ear to ear, isn't he? So Rahm is a huge danger this week. You know, he's walking on air. I was very tempted to add him to the outright staking plan, but I just. For a working man to back Justin Thomas and Jon Rahm, it's asking a lot, isn't it? So, just going to stick.
Rahm just gets there, and then I don't know. I don't think his temperament's right still, but you never know. Being a dad might help that. Now, Rory McIlroy is actually the first leg of your majors life changer, isn't he? He's out to 18 to 1. Do you fancy him?
He's the second leg, isn't he? Yeah, Justin Thomas.
Oh, pardon me. Sorry, it's Thomas first.
Justin Thomas will win this week. Yeah, we need Rory to get his act together before the USPGA. You know, he's got this new coach now. He's working with Pete Cowan. You know, made a drastic coaching decision because he stuck with Bannon for such a long time. So he switched to Cowan, and hopefully he can work with Cowan and get himself sorted for the USPGA, which I think is a much better chance than this one. His last major victory was in 2014. He's gone 17 months without a win anywhere. He's got his 32nd birthday looming large. You know, you sense that frustration in McIlroy, don't you? So, I don't think we can expect immediate results from his work with Cowan. But, particularly as this tournament, he normally turns up with a sort of foggy brain anyway. That career Grand Slam is such a big thing. You know, open with a 75 in November. You know, you throw a few new swing thoughts into the mix. I just can't see how McIlroy can get into the groove.
Okay, and Steve, just very quickly to remind people, because there's still time to have the majors fourfold, isn't there? Who are the 4 components?
Of course, yeah. Justin Thomas for the Masters, Rory McIlroy for the USPGA, Jon Rahm for the US Open, and then Dustin Johnson for the Open Championship. I mean, it couldn't be going better at this stage. Okay,
and the beauty, of course, if you haven't done the bet yet, is that you get the benefit of all the juicy each-way terms for the first leg, don't you? Whereas those of us that did it last winter didn't benefit from all that. But anyway, that's all good. Anyone else you want to mention, either positively or negatively? Was there a kind of last man on the list? Did you hum and ha over anyone?
Yeah, I like two South Africans. I like Christian Bezuidenhout and Dylan Fratelli. Yeah, they were on my list for a long time, but I just decided that I don't think either down the stretch has got enough experience of winning big titles to get the job done. So, yeah, I wouldn't put anyone off an each way ticket on those two. And then the other one we probably must discuss is Colin Morikawa, because as I mentioned earlier, he is the one player in the world who can rival Justin Thomas for iron play. Strokes gained on approach is the stat that punters should be concentrating on this week. It's traditionally the key to success at Augusta is finding the right sections of these tiny targets. They're big old greens, but they're full of slopes, and you've got to get in the right section of them. So, the best iron player traditionally wins at Augusta. Tiger Woods, when we saw him win, it was all about his iron play. And Morikawa is arguably the best in the world. But he hits those short cuts off the tee. I don't think his driving is ideally suited. He's only had one go at it. So keep an eye on Morikawa, but I prefer others.
Okay, thank you. I hope you're enjoying the show. Don't forget, if you are, don't forget to hit that thumbs up underneath. Leave us a comment. We've had some comments. Let's get Steve's view on a couple of the questions we've had on the YouTube feed. Michael Jones says, do you play the special market, Steve? I've just been having a quick look through, and Victor Perez, 12-1 top continental Europe, caught my eye. What are your thoughts?
I like Victor Perez. Yeah. Greens and regulation machine, second visit to Augusta, I believe. But I like Jon Rahm too much for that market. Yeah, I think Jon Rahm would be a strong favourite in the continental Europe market.
Okay. And Andy Turner says, Charley Hoffman, 30-1, so close to winning. Cashed out for a decent amount before speed to win. Nice profit. Roll on the master show. There's not really much you can say to that, is there? But I suppose it's good that Andy did cash out and take the profit on Hoffman.
Yeah, well played, Andy. Yeah. I certainly didn't cash out. I stayed to the grim death. And as I say, that tee shot at 17 made me really angry.
Never mind. Is Hoffman in the field this week, Steve? Pardon my ignorance.
No. That's the tragedy. No. I mean, he needed to win last week to get into the field. Everyone was all excited about that first round leader bet. You're going to have to think of someone else for your first round leader bet.
Who should I go for?
Well, tee time's not out yet, so I wouldn't like to say. I'd like to have a good look at the tee times first. But the Hoff is Hoff heartbreak.
Oh well, never mind. Steve, will it be high scoring or low scoring, do you think, this week?
It'll be much harder than last year. We won't be getting any. Cameron Smith for the first player card, 4 rounds in the 60s. That's just not going to happen this year.
What would you have the winning scoring at? -11, -12?
Yeah. I mean if we get the Friday thunderstorm, then we could be looking at sort of -15. If we don't, then we could have a nice, enjoyable -8. I hope it's not a bit harder this year. I hope it stays dry.
Excellent. And have you got any of those special markets that Andy referred to in his question? Are any of those derivatives that you like the look of?
Yeah. As I say, like Jon Rahm for the outright market, I was considering, but I think he's a better bet at 4-1 for top European. Because I think the
continental Europe or the whole? No,
the whole of Europe. I think Jon Rahm is by far the leading contender for top European. His form figures are 4.97 in the last 3 Masters, so he served his Masters apprenticeship. He's comfortable there, and I don't really like many of the rivals of there. McIlroy's next in the betting in that. As I say, I don't think we can expect too much from McIlroy in the next few weeks. Hatton's got a terrible record at Augusta. Hovland's only had 1 spin there. Justin Rose has been having back problems. I think the European contingent is quite weak this year, so I think Rahm is a strong favourite in that market. And then the other one I wanted to put punters on in the derivatives, as you call them, is Corey Connors for top Canadian. I can't believe you can get 4-5 about Corey Connors. It's a 3-runner race, this. He's only got Mackenzie Hughes and Mike Weir to beat. Hughes' ball striking is never been good enough to be a factor at a proper big boys course like Augusta. Weir's obviously yesterday's man. Connors would have to play really badly, I think, to lose in that market. And there's no evidence recently that he's going to play badly. He was 3rd at Bay Hill last month. He was 7th at Sawgrass. And last weekend in Texas, he finished strongly for 14th place. So, Connors, I think, should be about 1-2 in that market, and he's 4-5.
Fantastic. Excellent. Anything else to add, or have we had the benefit of your wisdom?
Will Zalatoris top debutant, but again, that's a short price.
All right, mate. Excellent. Well, it should be good. You're beavering away, no doubt, on the Racing Post special presentation that'll be going in on Wednesday. You can catch that in Wednesday's newspaper or at racingpost.com. Any other news before we leave, Stephen? Let you get back to the grindstone.
Don't think so, mate. Are you looking forward to being released into the community a bit?
Well, yeah, I was going to say that. The pubs open, not quite their doors, but certainly the garden gates on Monday. And I was just thinking how nice it would be to win a few quid on the Masters on Sunday night and then just go down with a nice fistful of cash and buy a couple of tinctures. Wouldn't that be lovely?
Yeah, they don't want cash these days, do they? You have to.
All right, well, yeah, metaphorical, you know.
No, that would be lovely, wouldn't that? Would be lovely. Yeah, yeah. We're all in that transitional period now, aren't we, of going back into the community. I mean, I'm a natural hermit. I'm starting to realise I probably quite like the lockdown. You know, going to see people again is quite scary, but we'll do our best.
We certainly do, Steve. Good luck. Thank you very much indeed for all your US Masters wisdom. Like I say, don't forget, check Steve's full thoughts out, plus all stats. Fantastic package there in the Racing Post on Wednesday or on the website. Thank you so much for joining us. Don't forget to like, rate and review on YouTube. And we're back next week for another Sweet Spot.